John, myself and Cardia with Duncan went to Macedonia in November last year. Really, really cold. And we tried to help the Syrian refugees crossing from the Macedonia border into, where was it? Macedonia border into Serbia. Thank you. Do you want to come and help as well? You seem to know lots too. So I wrote this little thing while I was there. I'll just read it out. Our first thoughts of Macedonia centre around the cold, bitter wind on the train tracks. We were surprised to see so many busy volunteers from different NGOs milling around their sheet metal structures and tents. They had all changed from Duncan's first visit, from 4 to 5 volunteers to about 40 to 50 people. Some of the many NGOs were the Macedonian Red Cross, A Drop in the Ocean, UNICEF, Legis, who we actually ended up helping a little bit, and many Muslim-run organisations. Some volunteers had come from Norway and Denmark, and also Macedonia itself. We were asked to show our passports and even told not to go on the station until our contact was here. There was also free Wi-Fi in a toilet block. So all of this stuff that just had appeared was on a train track a couple miles from the border to Serbia. So they would have to get off the train and walk on this train track. Some people were kind of even possibly blind. It was mostly at night, so they had to stumble across train tracks and rocky ground, many with bad shoes, just kind of little summer sandals, and this was the winter, and it wasn't very good at all. We went generally in the evenings because more trains came then. In the evenings we handed out different products such as wet wipes, deodorant, feminine hygiene products, toothpaste and emergency foil blankets. We didn't have a little stall, so we walked among the refugees. Not all of them appeared to be poor, as some refused our items saying, give it to someone else who needs it. We printed small labels that had our simple message. It said, welcome to Europe, pray to God and learn about Jesus. They will be with you. Free help and free Bible from carelinks.net, with also the email address on it. This was rather handy because there was free Wi-Fi, so we are hoping many of the refugees had phones and could look up our internet address. There was a well-run group of volunteers giving out hot chicken soup and bread. We also helped one evening to give out litre milk cartons for babies. There was a helper outside the food queue moving the line along and stopping young men pushing in front of the mothers and children. The children either cried inconsolably or rushed around to collect food for the families, treating this experience like an adventure. You could see the trauma and weariness in their eyes, that they had been through something that we cannot imagine. There was a small number of new shoes for children, so we looked for any that had canvas shoes, broken shoes or no shoes. The mother's relief was obvious and the children walked away with big smiles. Up to this point, the refugees had survived an awful journey, mostly from Syria and Afghanistan, in small dinghies, more trains and lots of walking. I think just after we left, a baby died on the station. I'm not too sure about the details, but that was quite a big shock to all of the charities there. A good portion of our time was spent waiting for the late trains. On our last evening, we rushed out to catch a 3 p.m. train, only for it to arrive at 6 p.m. A second train came an hour and a half later, carrying over 1,000 refugees. There was usually a delay in the big town just before, so all the trains kind of backed up in a big queue and all came at once. So many people weren't really prepared, and there was a big rush, and all children running around, babies crying, men pushing in to get food from the queue. And yeah, it was a bit busy, but it was very nice to see so many smiles after we gave stuff out and tried to help people. Even just the camaraderie of the refugees helping each other from different families, or kind of, I think I saw a man giving like a little kid a lift on his shoulders and just helping the different people off the train. I hope we helped. Even one person would be brilliant for us. Duncan mentioned he baptised a few Iranians a couple of weeks ago, and they remember someone giving out hot chicken and soup and bread. So they may have even passed across the little border where we were. Maybe not at the same time, but yeah, it's a small world. Pretty much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Yeah, I'll ask you a few questions in a minute. But yeah, we gave out, so this, we did it twice, we gave out a number of these packages with our, as Deb was saying, our little game plan was to advertise the gospel, and the number of hits we got on the website after that definitely went up. And a number of the people were baptized in different countries since then, Iranian mainly, and some Iraqi refugees, remember passing through that border. And when I showed them the photographs of us there, they all remember that, because it's like a bottleneck, where everyone gets the boats and all that to the Greek islands, then they go through Greece, and then they come to this bottleneck between Greece and Macedonia, and that's why you get thousands crossing per day. When we were there, as Deb said, like 1,000 on a train. Yeah, there are people who cross that border who have now been baptized, but it wasn't, as far as we know, because they got in touch with the gospel when we were there. But I've asked them, how did you feel? And they said, it was really our first introduction to Christianity when we saw somebody there being kind to us. And so it was a great witness. And one really felt that they were putting hot food in the hands of people who needed it. Maybe Deb, Cardia, and John, would you like to comment on the question, are these people sincere? And are all these folks who are passing through thousands, well, when we were there, thousands per day into Western Europe, are these guys all in ISIS? Are these Islamic terrorists who are going to come here and blow us all up? What's your take on those people that we saw?
Before I answer a question like that,
You want to come up and use a microphone? Because it's, cardio, whatever. Those people that we met, my question is, are they a load of Islamic State extremists, or what was your impression of most of those people?
Firstly, before I'd like to say, firstly, you'd have to think: is it my place to judge, or is it my place just to act, and then and then believe that Jesus will take care of the rest?
You've done a great job, the three of you.
But first of all, no, not everyone's ISIS. You have a few nutters, obviously. But in my personal opinion, the vast majority of people were actually women, children, men, desperate, seeking a better life for themselves, because obviously what they've been coming from is things that most of us can't even experience in a lifetime. But more importantly, in my personal opinion, is that it's not actually our place to be judging people before you have a chance to know them. It's just behaving in a way that Jesus would be proud of you if you were to return the day afterwards, and then take the rest, and then leave the rest to him.
You girls want to give your impression of the women that you met? Do you get the impression they were going to be suicide bombers when they got to Germany?
No, they were just so concerned for the babies that they were holding. They just wrapped themselves in layers of any old clothes. Some looked like they had a bit of money because they were kind of wearing suits or kind of nice coats. Others were just so solely concerned with getting children food and warmth and medical attention. I don't think any sort of war was on their mind apart from the ones they were trying to escape. They were just trying to find a better place for them, really.
I was quite particularly touched when I was holding a box of wet wipes and another box of feminine hygiene, and I saw two women and they were crying. So I came up to them thinking I could give them some things, and they laughed at me, but not from pride. It was more of like thankfulness, like they've gone through so much trauma, and then to see somebody just like, do you want this? And they just laughed and wiped their tears away and said thank you in their own language, and I thought that was really touching.
Yeah, so that would be my impression as well. Yeah, thank you. That would be my impression as well. The vast majority of those people are, well, they're in family groups to start with. We didn't get the impression that these are a bunch of terrorists coming to blow us up. I know that that's like a live issue in British society, European society at the moment. Are all these immigrants like, you know, just agents of Islamic State? And of course, you can say, yeah, there are, sure. There would be a minority, but they're a minority, and there's a minority of nutters in society, including in British society. Okay, well, I think that's...
Thank you, Doctor. I'm sure we're all thankful that they've